The old world is over, and with it died the concept of anonymity. You are operating under a dangerous delusion if you believe a balaclava or a lowered hood grants you invisibility in the post-collapse theater. That is a confident mistake. And in this new reality, the margin of error is zero. The surveillance infrastructure that survived the fall, the autonomous drones, the perimeter algorithms, the residual corporate security grids, does not care about your face. It does not need your iris scan. It is hunting you through hard logic and physics. The enemy has deployed a weapon far more invasive than facial recognition: behavioral biometrics. Understand the threat or perish. Your body is a biological beacon constantly broadcasting a unique frequency of movement. Every human being possesses a specific kinetic signature defined by the length of their femur, the rotation of their pelvis, the cadence of their stride, and the shift of their weight. This is your gait, and to the artificial intelligence tracking you, it is as distinct as a fingerprint. When you walk naturally, you are feeding the kill mechanism data. You are a walking QR code. The algorithm measures the oscillation of your head, the swing of your arms, and the heel-to-toe force ratio in milliseconds. It identifies you before you are even close enough to see the camera lens. To survive, you must abandon the comfort of your natural movement. You must apply the gray man philosophy not just to your clothing, but to your skeleton. Being visually unremarkable is no longer sufficient. You must become biomechanically unrecognizable. If the system recognizes your walk, it predicts your path. If it predicts your path, it intercepts you. Survival is now a brutal mathematical calculation. You must delete your biological identity from the physical world. If you walk like yourself, you die like yourself. To dismantle the kill mechanism, you must first understand the hard logic that powers it. The artificial intelligence tracking you does not process walking as a conscious activity. It processes it as a physics equation. In the eyes of the surveillance grid, you are not a survivor scavenging for resources. You are a collection of vectors and pivot points moving through space. The algorithm strips away your flesh and clothing, reducing you to a skeletal wireframe. To defeat it, we must dissect the mechanics of bipedal locomotion with absolute coldness. The core principle the system exploits is the inverted pendulum model of human walking. Biologically, walking is a series of controlled falls. You lean forward, displacing your center of mass beyond your base of support, and gravity pulls you down. Your leg swings forward to catch the fall, creating a pivot point. This action repeats, creating a rhythmic, predictable energy exchange between potential and kinetic energy. The algorithm tracks this coem trajectory with terrifying precision. It calculates the exact arc of your pelvis as it rises during the mid-stance and falls during the double support phase. This creates a vertical oscillation, a perfect sine wave that represents your specific energy expenditure profile. Most survivors make the confident mistake of thinking they can fool the system by simply slouching or limping. This is amateurism. The AI looks past superficial posture. It measures the kinematic chain, the interconnected movement of your joints. It correlates the counter-rotation of your shoulders relative to your pelvic girdle. It measures the angular velocity of your knee extension. Even if you hunch your back, if your femur swings at its natural frequency, the algorithm will identify you. The system relies on the fact that humans are biological machines programmed by evolution for maximum efficiency. Your body naturally seeks the path of least metabolic resistance. You subconsciously optimize your stride length and cadence to burn the fewest calories per meter. This efficiency is your enemy. The algorithm's predictive modeling is based on the hard logic that a target will move efficiently. It anticipates the sine wave. It anticipates the rhythmic pendulum swing. Therefore, the operational principle of the shadow walk is not just to move differently, it is to move inefficiently. You must introduce mathematical noise into a clean signal. You must consciously disrupt the physics of the inverted pendulum, forcing your body to operate against its own biomechanical programming. We are going to break the sine wave. We are going to decouple the kinematic chain. You must understand that this is a violation of your own biology, and it will exact a heavy toll on your energy reserves. But in a world where movement is identity, efficiency is death. Protocol Alpha initiates with mechanical corruption. We do not trust your brain to maintain a consistent fake limp under stress. When adrenaline hits, the multiplier rule states that cognitive function degrades as heart rate elevates. You will revert to your factory settings. Your muscle memory is a liability. Therefore, we must apply hard logic to physically force your body into a deviant movement pattern that requires no conscious thought to maintain. You must engineer a hardware problem to solve a software threat. We call this Technique 1, the loot drop variance. The concept relies on asymmetrical loading. The human body is designed for bilateral symmetry. The algorithm expects your left stride to mirror your right stride within a tight variance of efficiency. The loot drop variance deliberately destroys this symmetry by shifting your center of mass off the vertical axis. This is not simply about carrying a heavy backpack. A centered load merely shortens your stride but keeps the rhythm symmetrical. You must load yourself unevenly to corrupt the data. To execute this, you will place a dense, non-shifting weight, approximately 10% to 15% of your body weight, on a single distal point of your operational gear. Do not place this weight on your shoulders. The shoulders are too capable of compensating while keeping the hips level. Instead, attach the weight to one thigh, specifically the lower cargo pocket, or tap directly to the calf. This creates a pendulum drag on one side of the kinematic chain. Physics dictates the result. When one leg is significantly heavier or has a lower center of gravity than the other, your body creates an involuntary compensation pattern to stay upright. Your pelvis will tilt laterally to lift the heavier limb. Your spine will curve in the opposite direction to counterbalance the offset coem. Your stride length on the loaded side will shorten, while the unloaded side will elongate to maintain velocity. This creates a chaotic, uneven cadence that destroys the sine wave consistency the AI hunts for. Operational examples are crude but effective. If you are scavenging, consolidate all dense materials, canned goods, ammunition, batteries, into a single distinct loot drop bag carried low in one hand or rigged to one side of your belt. Never distribute the weight evenly. If you are empty-handed, you must improvise. Tape a heavy stone or a dense packet of wet sand to the inside of one boot. The discomfort is irrelevant. The objective is to make the natural walk physically impossible. The surveillance system will read this gait not as target alpha masking movement, but as unknown subject with structural injury or deformity. It categorizes you as low threat, or simply fails to match the distorted wireframe to your stored biometric file. Be warned, this technique violates the body's desire for homeostasis. Prolonged asymmetrical loading will grind your cartilage. It will create hotspots in your joints and inflammation in your lumbar spine. You are trading long-term orthopedic health for immediate invisibility. In the calculation of survival, a herniated disc is preferable to a capture team. Do not complain. Adapt or be harvested. Continuing Protocol Alpha, we move to the second tier of mechanical corruption. If the loot drop variance utilizes physics to alter your path, Technique 2, the gravel standard, utilizes biology. Specifically, it weaponizes your body's pain response to override the subconscious smoothing of your gait. The human brain is hardwired to protect the structural integrity of the skeleton. When the nervous system detects sharp, localized pain in the foot or ankle, it instantaneously alters the motor program to minimize time under tension for that specific limb. This is a reflex faster than thought, and therefore impossible for the AI to distinguish from a legitimate injury. The kill mechanism does not see a spy. It sees a cripple. To execute the gravel standard, you must introduce a sharp, non-compressible irritant into the foundation of your movement, your boots. Find a jagged stone, a dense nut, or a small cluster of ball bearings, approximate diameter of 5 to 8 millimeters. Place this object directly under the calcaneus or the third metatarsal head inside your boot, beneath the insole if possible, or directly against the sock for maximum effect. Do not place it under the arch, as the foot can collapse around it to dampen the effect. You need the irritant to strike a load-bearing contact point. When you walk, the immediate feedback loop of pain will force you to check your step. You will involuntarily reduce the stance phase on the affected leg. Your body will refuse to fully load the heel, forcing a forefoot strike or a flat-footed slap to avoid driving the object into your flesh. This destroys the heel-to-toe roll that the algorithm tracks. Simultaneously, your knee will stay slightly flexed to act as a shock absorber, altering the vertical sine wave. The result is an erratic, uneven, and biologically valid limp that is mathematically inconsistent with your healthy baseline. The AI searches for your rhythmic efficiency. You give it chaotic avoidance. A variation of this standard, if you lack the discipline to walk on a stone, is the restriction rig. Use duct tape or paracord to wrap one knee or ankle tight enough to reduce your range of motion by 15 to 20 degrees. Tape directly over the trousers to avoid skin avulsion, but make it tight. This artificially shortens the swing phase of that leg. You will be unable to fully extend the knee at the point of heel strike. This forces the other leg to vault over the stiff limb, creating a distinctive step-to rather than step-through pattern. The gravel standard is brutal. It requires you to operate in a state of constant nagging discomfort. It will blister your skin and bruise your periosteum. But this is the trade-off. Comfort is a luxury of the old world. In the current operational theater, pain is a mask. If you are not willing to endure a bruised heel to avoid a drone strike, you have already failed the survival calculation. Use the pain. Let it distort your face and your posture. Real pain creates the most convincing camouflage. Protocol Beta shifts the battlefield from the physical to the neurological, while mechanical corruption relies on external stressors to force compliance. Neuromuscular nullification demands that you hack your own software. We begin with Technique 3, the syncopated step. This is an attack on the temporal predictability of your movement. You must understand that the surveillance algorithm operates on a fundamental principle of hard logic. Human gait is rhythmic. It is a biological metronome. Step left, step right. 1, 2, 1, 2. This cadence creates a frequency that the AI locks onto. It predicts your next footfall based on the time interval of your last. If your cadence is constant, the system projects your location into the future with absolute certainty. To vanish, you must become arrhythmic. You must destroy the timeline of your own movement. The syncopated step requires you to decouple your stride from a constant time signature. Think of standard walking as a military march, consistent, even predictable. You must switch to a broken time signature. You are not walking to a beat. You are moving in broken code. The operational pattern is a long, short sequence. You take 2 strides of normal duration, followed immediately by a rapid, shortened catch-up step that clips the rhythm. Step, step, quick, step, step, quick. This is not a limp. It is a stutter in the data stream. To execute this without stumbling requires intense focus. You are overriding the basal ganglia, the part of the brain that automates motor function. You must manually pilot your legs. Extend your stride for 2 counts, 1 second, 1 second, then abruptly cut the third count in half, 0.5 seconds. Do not change your overall travel speed. Change your internal timing. To the AI, this registers as a tracking error or a frame drop. The algorithm struggles to average your speed because your velocity is oscillating on a microscale. You are introducing a variable that the predictive model cannot smooth out. The sine wave of your motion becomes jagged, preventing the system from matching your walk to your stored biometric file. However, be warned that this technique is high risk. Unlike the gravel standard, which passively forces a gait change through pain, syncopation requires active, continuous mental processing. This triggers the multiplier rule. As your cognitive load increases, your situational awareness decreases. You cannot effectively scan the horizon for threats while you are mentally counting beats for your feet. Therefore, this technique is a specialized tool, not a travel mode. Do not use it for long-distance movements where calorie conservation is key. Use it only when crossing kill zones, open intersections, lobby entrances, or areas with known high-density camera coverage. For those 30 seconds, you are a ghost in the machine. Once clear, revert to efficiency. If you try to syncopate for a mile, you will trip, or worse, you will be so focused on your feet that you walk blindly into an ambush. Protocol Beta continues with vertical nullification. If syncopation destroys the when of your movement, Technique 4. The slide drag destroys the how. The surveillance algorithm is addicted to the vertical oscillation of your center of mass. As previously established, standard bipedalism is a series of vaults over stiff legs. Your head bobs up at mid-stance and dips down at heel strike. This creates a sinusoidal frequency that is as unique to you as a vocal cord signature. The slide drag is designed to flatline this wave. We are replacing the vaulting mechanic with a gliding mechanic. To execute this, you must lower your operational ceiling. Drop your coem by flexing your knees and hips. Sink roughly 2 to 3 inches below your standing height. You must maintain this semi-squat position throughout the entire movement. Do not rise. Imagine a low ceiling positioned exactly 1 inch above your head. If you bob up, you crash. This is not a crouch. It is a tactical depression of the skeleton. In this lowered stance, you do not step over the ground, you shear across it. Drive the leg forward with the knee remaining bent. Instead of a hard heel strike, you are aiming for a mid-foot placement, or a rolling heel-to-toe contact that eliminates the impact spike. Your feet should barely clear the terrain, skimming the surface like a puck on ice. This effectively disengages the inverted pendulum physics of the leg. You are no longer falling and catching yourself. You are pushing a stable platform forward. The result is that your head and shoulders translate horizontally through space with 0 vertical deviation. The AI's tracking reticle, which expects a bouncing target, is forced to track a linear slide. This discrepancy confuses the background subtraction algorithms used to isolate moving targets from static environments. You appear less biological and more mechanical or sliding, often causing the system to misclassify the movement as a vehicle, a windblown object, or a data glitch, rather than a human pedestrian. Do not underestimate the physical cost of this technique. The slide drag places your quadriceps under constant isometric tension. You are essentially holding a wall sit while moving. This burns glycogen at a rate 3 times higher than standard walking. The accumulation of lactic acid will be rapid and debilitating. This is calorie bankruptcy in action. You are paying for invisibility with your body's fuel reserves. Do not attempt this if you are malnourished or fatigued, as your legs will tremble, reintroducing the very oscillation you are trying to hide. This technique is reserved for short, high-risk traversals across smooth surfaces, warehouse floors, tarmac, or hallways, where the lack of vertical cover makes the algorithm your primary threat. Protocol Beta concludes with the most cognitively demanding maneuver in our arsenal. Technique 5, the micropause. While the previous techniques corrupted your rhythm or your trajectory, this technique attacks the fundamental hardware limitation of the surveillance grid, the frame rate. You must understand that the eye of the machine is not continuous. It sees the world as a rapid sequence of still images, typically 30 to 60 frames per second. The kill mechanism constructs your movement path by drawing a vector between your position in frame A and your position in frame B. It assumes a continuous velocity. The micropause is designed to sever this vector. We are going to glitch the video feed. This technique is a frame rate attack. It requires you to insert a sub-second absolute halt into the middle of your stride cycle. This is not a hesitation. It is a total freeze. The target moment is the mid-swing phase, where one leg is passing the other in midair. In a natural gait, this is the point of highest angular velocity. By freezing here, even for 0.2 seconds, you create a data artifact. The algorithm expects the leg to be at position X in the next frame. Instead, it finds the leg still at position Y. This discrepancy forces the system to dump the predictive track and reacquire the target. You are essentially moving like a lagging character in a video game, stuttering through reality. To execute the micropause, you must possess exceptional core stability. As your swing leg passes your stance leg, fire your hip flexors and core to lock the limb in place. Hold. Then release and complete the step with accelerated speed to make up the distance. The motion is step, freeze, land, step, freeze, land. You are manually introducing dead air into the visual signal. This destroys the smooth motion blur that optical flow algorithms use to detect movement direction. To the AI, you do not appear as a walking human. You appear as a series of disjointed teleporting static objects. The software struggles to link the frozen you of frame 1 with the moving you of frame 10, often filtering you out as visual noise or a transmission error. However, the operational reality of this technique presents a critical paradox. While the micropause is highly effective against automated sentries and motion tracking turrets, it is catastrophic if witnessed by a biological observer. To a human eye, you will look like you are suffering from a neurological seizure or a psychotic break. It is the antithesis of the gray man. You are trading biological inconspicuousness for digital invisibility. Therefore, you must apply hard logic to your environment. If the threat is a drone swarm or a remote camera tower with no human patrols, deploy the micropause. If there are human hostiles in the vicinity, this technique will get you killed. Furthermore, the energy cost is severe. Stopping a limb in midair requires fighting your own momentum. You are working against physics. Every freeze spikes your metabolic burn and places shearing force on your stance knee. Do not attempt this for more than 50 meters. It is a sprint mechanic used to cross the kill box of a specific camera angle, not a way of life. The margin of error is 0. If you lose your balance during the freeze, you will stumble, and the sudden erratic movement will trigger every motion alarm in the sector. Control your body, or the machine will control your fate. We conclude with the most critical factor of all: operational reality. Do not mistake these protocols for a permanent lifestyle. They are tactical tools to be deployed, not a new way of being. Every technique listed above, from the loot drop to the micro pause, violates the biological imperative of efficiency. They are metabolically expensive. In a post-collapse environment, food is fuel, and fuel is finite. To use the shadow walk constantly is to declare calorie bankruptcy. You will burn through your glycogen reserves at a rate that scavenging cannot replenish. You will starve yourself into visibility. Apply hard logic to your deployment strategy. If you are in deep cover or open wilderness, walk naturally to conserve energy. Save the gravel standard and the syncopated step for the high-risk friction points, the checkpoints, the perimeter fences, the drone corridors. Survival is a brutal mathematical calculation. You must balance the risk of detection against the certainty of starvation. The old world is over. The friendly streets you knew are gone. You are now navigating a hostile matrix of physics and algorithms. The margin of error is zero. One lazy step, one moment of rhythmic comfort, and the kill mechanism engages. Master your gait. Control your biology. Become the error in the system.